I'm 99 years old. I went to Harvard Law School. And I'm telling you, your college degree is probably the worst investment you ever made. Not because education is worthless, because you paid $200,000 for something worth $20,000 and then spent the next 30 years trying to justify that mistake instead of building wealth. People think a degree is a ticket to success. That is nonsense. A degree is a piece of paper that says you can follow instructions and take tests. It says nothing about whether you can think, create value, or build wealth. I've watched thousands of people graduate from elite universities, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and most of them end up broke. Not poor, broke, making $150,000 a year with $300,000 in debt and nothing saved, living paycheck to paycheck with impressive credentials. Meanwhile, I've watched people who never finished college build billion-dollar businesses. The plumber who started his own company at 22 and retired at 50 with $15 million. The salesman who learned persuasion instead of poetry and built a fortune. The difference isn't intelligence, it's cost and what you do with your time. I'm going to show you the 5 reasons your college degree made you broke. Not unsuccessful, broke. These are not theories. This is arithmetic. And if you're in college right now or thinking about going, you need to hear this before you make a $300,000 mistake. Hit the like button if you're ready to hear why smart people stay poor. I only share this with people who can handle the truth. Before we get into this, do me a favor, drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know who's here. City, state, country, just let me know. Here's why people with college degrees stay broke while people without them get rich. Most people think education creates wealth. That is backward. Wealth comes from creating value and capturing a portion of that value. Education can help you create value, but it can also trap you in a system designed to extract wealth from you, not create it for you. The truth is simple, but nobody wants to hear it. Most college degrees are consumption, not investment. You're buying a credential, an experience, a network. Those things have value, but they're not worth $200,000 plus 4 years of lost earning potential, plus 20 years of debt payments. Do the arithmetic. A 4-year degree at a state school costs $100,000 all in. A private school costs $300,000. Then add the opportunity cost. 4 years you could have been working, learning valuable skills, building a business, earning money. If you worked those 4 years making $40,000 per year and invested half of it at 8% instead of going to college, you'd have $90,000 saved by age 22. The college graduate has minus $100,000 at age 22. That's a $190,000 gap before you even start. And it gets worse, because the degree teaches you the wrong things. I'll show you the 5 ways a college degree makes you broke. Ways I've watched destroy wealth for 70 years. The first one is the most expensive. Let's start. Reason number 1. You bought a liability, not an asset. A college degree is not an asset. It's a liability disguised as an investment. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. A degree takes $200,000 out of your pocket immediately, then continues taking money out for 20 years through student loan payments. But people call it an investment because it's supposed to increase your earning potential. Here's the problem. For most people, it doesn't. Not enough to justify the cost. The problem with treating a degree as an investment is that nobody does the math before buying it. They just assume college equals higher income equals good investment. That assumption is killing people financially. Let me show you the real arithmetic. The average college graduate makes $65,000 per year. The average high school graduate makes $45,000 per year. Difference, $20,000 per year. Sounds good, right? The degree pays for itself. Wrong, because you're not accounting for the full cost. Cost of degree, $150,000, average all in. Opportunity cost, $160,000, 4 years at $40,000 per year. Total cost, $310,000. Now you're making $20,000 more per year than the high school graduate, but you're $310,000 behind. At $20,000 per year, it takes 15.5 years just to break even. You don't start actually making more money until you're 37 years old, and that's assuming you get a job that pays the average. Many don't. Let me tell you about a woman I know. I'll call her Jennifer. Brilliant woman. Graduated from Northwestern University in 2005 with a degree in psychology. Total cost, $180,000 in loans. She thought she'd become a therapist, help people, make good money. She graduated, applied for jobs, found out therapists need a master's degree to make decent money. So she went back to school. Another $80,000 in loans. Total debt, $260,000. She finished her master's in 2009. Right into the financial crisis. Jobs were scarce. She took a position making $48,000 per year. Her loan payment, $2,400 per month. Let me say that again. She made $48,000 per year, $4,000 per month gross, $2,800 per month after taxes. Her loan payment was $2,400. She had $400 per month to live on. She couldn't afford an apartment. Moved back with her parents at age 27. Couldn't afford a car payment. Drove her high school car. Couldn't afford to eat out, travel, or do anything. She was making $48,000 per year with 2 degrees from prestigious universities, and she was poorer than someone working at Costco making $45,000 per year with 0 debt. At 30, she consolidated her loans and extended them to 25 years. Her payment dropped to $1,600 per month. She could finally afford a studio apartment. She's 42 now, still paying off her loans, still living in a small apartment, still making $70,000 per year as a therapist. Good money, but not great. She'll finish paying off her loans at age 52. 30 years of payments for a degree that helped her make $25,000 more per year than she could have made without it. Here's the arithmetic. She paid $260,000 for a degree. She makes $25,000 more per year than if she'd just worked with a high school diploma. After 30 years, that's $750,000 in extra income. Sounds good until you account for the loan interest. With interest, she paid $480,000 over 30 years to borrow $260,000. Her net gain, $750,000 minus $480,000 equals $270,000 over 30 years. That's $9,000 per year, $750 per month. She spent 30 years in debt for an extra $750 per month. And because she had no money to invest in her 20s and 30s, she lost all the compounding those decades would have provided. If she had skipped college worked at Costco making $45,000 per year, lived frugally, and invested $10,000 per year starting at age 22, she'd have $1.2 million by age 52 at 8% returns. Instead, she'll have maybe $100,000 saved by then because she spent 3 decades paying off debt instead of building wealth. Same intelligence, same work ethic, different decision about college. One path led to wealth. The other led to 30 years of debt. Let me show you the math on degrees as assets versus liabilities. Person A goes to college, pays $150,000, gets a job making $65,000 per year at age 22, has loan payment of $1,400 per month for the 20 years, can save $500 per month after loans and expenses. At age 42, 20 years later, paid off loans, finally, saved $500 per month times 12 months times 20 years equals $120,000. Invested at 8% equals $296,000. Plus now makes $85,000 per year with experience. Person B skips college, gets a job making $40,000 per year at age 18, lives frugally, saves $1,000 per month. No debt. At age 42, 24 years later, saved $1,000 per month times 12 months times 24 years equals $288,000. Invested at 8% equals $877,000. Makes $65,000 per year with experience. Moved up through work. Person A has $296,000. Person B has $877,000. Same time period, same discipline. Person B has nearly 3 times more wealth despite making less money because he didn't have debt and started saving earlier. That's the cost of treating a degree as an asset when it's actually a liability. Let me tell you about a plumber I know. Started working at 18. Made $30,000 per year as an apprentice. Lived with his parents. Saved every penny. By 22, he had $50,000 saved. Got his license. Started his own plumbing business. Hired 2 other plumbers. Took home $80,000 per year. By 30, he had 10 employees, taking home $200,000 per year. By 40, he had 25 employees, multiple trucks, commercial contracts, taking home $500,000 per year. He retired at 52 with $15 million. No college degree, just a trade skill and the discipline to build a business instead of working for someone else. Compare that to the average lawyer. 4 years of college, 3 years of law school, $250,000 in debt, makes $120,000 per year at a firm, works 70 hours per week, pays off loans by age 40, retires at 65 with $3 million if they're disciplined. The plumber retired at 52 with $15 million. The lawyer retired at 65 with $3 million. The plumber had no debt, less stress, and more time. The lawyer had a prestigious degree and a lot of stress. Which one made the better investment? A college degree is not an asset. For most people, it's a liability that takes decades to pay off. And during those decades, you lose the compounding you could have had if you'd started with 0 debt and invested early. The question is not, should I go to college? The question is, does this specific degree generate enough extra income to justify the cost plus the opportunity cost? For doctors and engineers, usually yes. For liberal arts majors and most business degrees, usually no. I will never tell someone to buy a liability disguised as an asset. That's how you stay broke for decades. But buying the wrong asset is just the beginning. The second reason college makes you broke is even more insidious. Reason number 2. You learn to work for money instead of making money. Work for you. College teaches you to be an employee, to trade time for money, to get good grades so you can get a good job, so you can make a good salary. That is the path to being comfortable. It is not the path to being wealthy. Nobody gets rich trading time for money. You only get rich when money works for you instead of you working for money. The problem with college is that it trains you for employment, not entrepreneurship. It trains you to be valuable to someone else, not valuable to yourself. You spend 4 years learning to follow syllabi, meet deadlines, impress professors, take tests. Those are employee skills, not wealth-building skills. Then you graduate and get a job. And you're good at being an employee because that's what you were trained to do. So you keep doing it. For 40 years, you make $100,000 per year. Good salary. You feel successful. But you're not building wealth. You're just trading time for money. And there's a limit to how much money you can make trading time because there's a limit to your time. Let me tell you about a man I know, Stanford graduate, MBA from Wharton. Brilliant guy. Got a job at Goldman Sachs in 1995 making $120,000 per year. He was thrilled. Everyone said he'd made it. Stanford to Wharton to Goldman, perfect path. He worked 80 hours per week, got promoted, made $200,000, then $350,000, then $500,000 as a managing director. By age 40, he was making $750,000 per year. Everyone thought he was rich. He thought he was rich. Here's what they didn't see. He lived in Manhattan. $8,000 per month rent for a nice apartment had to impress clients. He had 2 kids in private school at $45,000 per kid per year. He belonged to the right clubs, $20,000 per year. He vacationed in the Hamptons every summer, $30,000 for 2 months rental. His wife didn't work, took care of the kids. His expenses were $450,000 per year. His income after taxes was $500,000. He was saving $50,000 per year. At $50,000 per year saved, he was building wealth slowly. But here's the problem. He was 40 years old. He'd been working for 15 years. If he'd started saving $50,000 per year at age 25, he'd have $1.5 million by age 40. But he didn't start at 25. He started at 35 because his first 10 years were spent paying off $180,000 in student loans while living in expensive cities on lower salaries. At age 40, he had $500,000 saved. Good money. But not rich, not for someone making $750,000 per year. Then 2008 happened, financial crisis. Goldman cut 25% of staff. He got laid off. Age 42, $750,000 salary gone. Severance, $500,000 before taxes. He took a year to find a new job. Took one at a smaller bank, making $350,000. Half his old salary, had to cut expenses. Pulled kids from private school, moved to a cheaper apartment. Stopped the Hamptons vacations. He's 58 now. Still working, making $400,000 per year. Has $3 million saved. Needs to work until 65 to have enough to Retire comfortably. Compare him to a different guy. Didn't go to college. Started a software business at age 22 from his apartment. Barely made money for 3 years. Built it slowly. Sold it at age 35 for $8 million. Retired. Same 15 years of work. One guy traded time for money at $500,000 per year and has to work until 65. The other guy built equity and retired at 35. That's the difference between working for money and making money work for you. Let me show you the math on trading time versus building equity. Employee path. Work 40 years. Make $150,000 per year average. Save 15% equals $22,500 per year. Invested at 8% over 40 years equals $6.5 million at retirement. Worked 40 years to get there. Equity path. Build a business for 10 years, make $40,000 per year, low salary, reinvest profits. Sell business for $5 million at year 10. Invest $5 million at 8% for 30 years equals $50 million. Retired at 40. Wealth compounds for 30 more years. Same 40-year period. Employee has $6.50 million and just stopped working. Entrepreneur has $50 million and has been retired for 30 years. The difference? The employee traded time for money. The entrepreneur built equity that appreciated and compounded. Warren Buffett didn't get rich working for someone else. He got rich buying businesses and letting them compound. I didn't get rich working for a law firm. I got rich building equity in businesses with Warren. Every wealthy person I know got wealthy the same way. They built or bought equity in assets that appreciated: real estate, businesses, stocks, things that grew in value while they slept. Nobody, and I mean nobody, got rich trading time for money, because time is finite. Equity is infinite. The plumber I mentioned earlier? He didn't get rich being a plumber. He got rich owning a plumbing business. His business made money while he slept. That's equity. College teaches you to be an employee. To trade time for money, that is a trap. Wealth comes from owning things that appreciate: businesses, real estate, stocks, intellectual property. Things that make money without requiring your time. The question is not, how do I make more money per hour? The question is, how do I build equity that appreciates? I will never trade time for money if I can build equity instead. Time is limited, equity compounds. But there's a third reason college makes you broke. And this one destroys more wealth than the first two combined. Reason number 3, you delayed compounding by a decade. The most expensive thing about college is not the tuition. It's the time. 4 years in college plus 4 years paying off debt before you can start investing means you lose 8 years of compounding. And those first 8 years are the most valuable years you'll ever have. People don't understand exponential growth. They think, I'll invest later when I'm making more money. That is the most expensive sentence in the English language. Compounding works on time, not money. The difference between starting at 22 and starting at 30 is not 8 years. It's millions of dollars. Let me show you. 2 friends, both smart, both hardworking, both want to be wealthy. Friend A goes to college, 4 years plus 4 years of paying off loans. Starts investing at age 26. Invests $10,000 per year until age 65. Total invested, $390,000. At 8% returns, he has $3.1 million at retirement. Friend B skips college, starts investing at age 18. invests $10,000 per year until age 65. Total invested $470,000. At 8% returns, he has $8.6 million at retirement. Same annual investment. Friend B invested $80,000 more total, but he has $5.5 million more at retirement. Why? Because he started 8 years earlier. Those 8 years of compounding turned $80,000 in extra contributions into $5.5 million in extra wealth. That's the cost of delaying compounding. Now let's make it worse. What if friend A not only delayed investing, but also had to spend his first 4 years after college paying off loans at $1,000 per month instead of investing? Friend A at age 30 has $0 saved, just finished paying off loans. Friend B at age 30 has $187,000 saved, been investing for 12 years. Friend A needs to invest from age 30 to 65 to catch up. Even if he invests $15,000 per year, 50% more than friend B, he'll only have $2.7 million at retirement. Friend B, investing just $10,000 per year, will have $8.6 million. Friend A invested $525,000 total. Friend B invested $470,000 total. Friend B has $5.9 million more despite investing less money. That is the cost of going to college when you account for delayed compounding. Let me make this brutally clear. Scenario 1. Start investing at 18. Invest $5,000 per year for 10 years, ages 18 to 27. Total invested, $50,000. Then stop. Never invest again. At age 65, 38 years of growth at 8%, $50,000 becomes $864,000. Scenario 2. Start investing at 28 after college and debt payoff. Invest $5,000 per year for 37 years, ages 28 to 65. Total invested, $185,000. At age 65, 37 years of growth at 8%, $185,000 becomes $977,000. Scenario 1 invested $50,000 total. Scenario 2 invested $185,000 total. Scenario 2 only has $113,000 more despite investing $135,000 more. That's how expensive delaying compounding is. You invest 3.7 times more money and barely come out ahead. Now imagine if Scenario 1 had kept investing the $5,000 per year after age 27. They'd have $3.7 million at retirement, more than 3 times what Scenario 2 has. Same annual amount. Started 10 years earlier, ended with 3 times more wealth. That is the power of starting early, and the catastrophic cost of delaying. I started investing when I was 13 years old, not in college, buying stocks with money from my paper route and my grandfather's grocery store. By the time I was 30, I had 17 years of compounding working for me. By 40, I had 27 years. By 50, I had 37 years. That head start is worth more than any degree, because compounding is not linear. It's exponential. The longer it runs, the bigger it gets. Warren started investing at age 11. By the time he graduated from college at 21, he'd already been compounding for 10 years. That 10-year head start is worth tens of billions of dollars today. Not because he was smarter, because he started earlier. Every year you delay investing costs you exponentially. The first $10,000 you invest at age 18 is worth more at retirement than the last $100,000 you invest at age 60. College delays your start by 8 to 10 years. That delay costs millions in lost compounding. The question is the degree worth millions in lost compounding? For most people, the answer is no. But here's the fourth reason. College makes you broke, and this one is psychological. Reason number 4. You were taught that credentials matter more than results. College teaches you to value credentials over results, grades over outcomes, degrees over competence. That mindset makes you broke because the market pays for results, not credentials. In college, what matters is your GPA, your degree, your honors. Those are credentials. In the real world, what matters is, did you make money for the company? Did you solve the problem? Did you create value? But college graduates keep thinking like college students. They think their degree should automatically mean higher pay, better opportunities, respect. It doesn't. The market doesn't care about your degree. It cares about the value you create. I know a man who graduated from Princeton with a degree in economics, top 10% of his class, honors. Everyone said he'd be successful. He got a job at a consulting firm making $85,000 per year. Good money for a 22-year-old, but he thought he deserved more. He had a Princeton degree. He graduated with honors. He was smart, so he job hopped. Every 2 years, he'd leave for a 10 to 15% raise. He'd tell them about his Princeton degree, his honors, his intelligence. He'd get the job. Then he'd underperform because he spent more time talking about his credentials than producing results. By age 35, he was making $150,000 per year. Good money. But he'd burned through 6 jobs. His reputation was smart but arrogant, talks more than delivers. Meanwhile, a guy he worked with at his first job, state school graduate, no honors, stayed at the firm, kept his head down, delivered results, made clients happy, didn't talk about his degree. By age 35, the state school guy was making $300,000 per year as a partner. Double what the Princeton guy made. Same starting point, different mindset. One valued credentials, one valued results. One made double. The Princeton guy is still job hopping, still talking about his degree, still making $150,000 per year at age 50. The state school guy retired at 45 with $8 million, started his own firm, built equity, while Princeton guy was trading time for money. Let me show you the cost of valuing credentials over results. Person A values credentials, spends time talking about education, honors, intelligence, produces average results, gets average raises, makes $150,000 per year by age 40, never makes partner or starts a business because they're too focused on their resume instead of their results. 40-year career. Total earnings equals $5 million. Retirement savings equals $1.2 million. Person B values results, doesn't talk about credentials, focuses on delivering value, making clients happy, solving problems, gets rapid raises and promotions because of results, makes $300,000 per year by age 40, makes partner or starts business because they're known for results, not resume. 40-year career, total earnings equals $12 million. Retirement savings equals $5 million. Same time period. Person B made 4 times more wealth because they valued results over credentials. Warren Buffett has a degree from Columbia, but he never talks about it. He talks about results, returns, compounding, value creation. Nobody invests with Warren because of his degree. They invest because of his 50-plus years of 20% annual returns. I have a law degree from Harvard, but nobody hired me as an investor because of Harvard. They hired me because of my results, the returns I generated, the value I created. In the real world, credentials get you the first interview. Results get you everything else. The problem is that college graduates think credentials should get them everything. So they spend their careers talking about where they went to school instead of what they've accomplished. That mindset makes you broke. The market pays for value creation, not credentials. Your degree might get you in the door, but your results determine whether you get rich or stay broke. I have never hired someone because of their degree. I've hired them because they could think, solve problems, create value. The people who get rich are the people who focus on results. The people who stay broke are the people who focus on credentials. But the fifth reason is the most insidious, because it's not about money. It's about mindset. Reason number 5, you were taught to seek approval instead of seeking truth. College teaches you to please authority, to give the professor what they want, to conform to academic consensus, to seek approval. That mindset destroys wealth, because wealth comes from independent thinking, not conformity. In college, you succeed by agreeing with the professor. You get good grades by giving them the answers they want, not by thinking for yourself. You're taught to cite authorities, follow academic consensus, avoid controversy. You're taught that the right answer is the one in the textbook, not the one that's actually correct. That trains you to seek approval instead of seeking truth. And that makes you broke, because wealth comes from seeing what others don't see, thinking what others don't think, and acting when others won't act. I know a woman who went to Yale. Brilliant. Top of her class. Got a job at McKinsey Consulting. Made $120,000 per year out of school. She was good at her job. She gave clients what they wanted. She followed the McKinsey methodology. She pleased her bosses. She got promoted, made $200,000, then $300,000. Everyone thought she was successful, but she never built wealth. You know why? Because she never had an original thought. She never questioned consensus. She never took a risk. When the dot-com bubble happened in the late 1990s, everyone was buying tech stocks. She didn't. Not because she thought they were overvalued. She did, but because her bosses and colleagues were buying, and she wanted their approval. When the bubble burst in 2000, she felt smart for not buying. But then the market recovered, and tech stocks 10 times over the next 20 years. She missed it because she was too busy seeking approval to seek truth. When real estate crashed in 2008, she didn't buy property, not because she couldn't afford it, because everyone said real estate was dead, and she wanted to agree with consensus. Real estate doubled over the next 10 years. She missed it. When Bitcoin emerged in 2010, she didn't buy. Too risky. Too controversial. What would people think? Bitcoin went from $1 to $60,000. She missed it. She's 55 now, makes $400,000 per year, has $2 million saved. Comfortable, but not wealthy. Meanwhile, a guy she worked with at McKinsey, also Yale, similar background, did the opposite. He questioned consensus. He thought for himself. He bought tech stocks in 2002. He bought real estate in 2009. He bought Bitcoin in 2011. He retired at 42 with $30 million, not because he was smarter, because he sought truth instead of approval. Let me show you the cost of seeking approval versus seeking truth. Approval seeker follows consensus, buys stocks when everyone's buying at the top, sells stocks when everyone's selling at the bottom. Average return, 4% per year. Market timing penalties, $10,000 per year invested over 40 years equals $1 million. Truth seeker questions consensus, buys when everyone's selling at the bottom, holds when everyone's buying at the top. Average return, 12% per year, contrarian advantage, $10,000 per year invested over 40 years equals $9.6 million. Same contributions. The truth seeker has 9.6 times more wealth. Why? Because wealth comes from being right when everyone else is wrong. And you can't be right when everyone else is wrong if you're always seeking their approval. Warren Buffett bought stocks in 1974 when everyone said stocks were dead. Bought Coca-Cola in 1988 when everyone said it was overvalued. Sat in cash in 1999 when everyone said he didn't understand tech. He was right every time. Not because he was smarter, because he sought truth instead of approval. I invested with Warren when everyone said value investing was dead. We were wrong for 10 years. Then we were spectacularly right. Every great investment I've made came from questioning consensus. Every bad investment came from following it. College teaches you to seek approval from authority. That makes you a good employee, but it makes you a poor investor and a poor entrepreneur. Wealth comes from independent thinking, from seeing what others don't see, from acting when others won't act. You can't do that if you're always seeking approval. I will never seek approval when I should be seeking truth. Approval is comfortable. Truth is profitable. I learned these principles from my grandfather. He never went to college. 8th grade education, ran a small business in Omaha. He told me something when I was 12 years old that changed my life. He said, "Charlie, college can teach you many things, but it can't teach you the 3 things that matter most: how to think for yourself, how to create value, and how to compound that value over time. Those things you learn by doing, not by sitting in a classroom." He was right. I went to Harvard Law because I thought I needed the credential. I did learn some valuable things there, but the things that made me wealthy, independent thinking, value creation, compounding, I learned by doing, by investing with Warren, by questioning consensus, by seeking truth instead of approval. My grandfather built wealth slowly. He didn't make much money, maybe $40,000 per year in today's dollars, but he saved half of it, invested it simply, compounded it for 50 years. He died with $2 million at age 80 from a grocery store and disciplined saving. No degree, no fancy job, just early starting, long compounding, and the discipline to live below his means. Compare that to the hundreds of Harvard and Yale graduates I've known who make $300,000 per year and have nothing saved because they spent everything keeping up appearances. My grandfather was wealthier than most of them, not in income, in net worth. And that's what matters. Let me make this simple. Here are the 5 reasons your college degree made you broke. 1. You bought a liability, not an asset. A degree costs $200,000 and takes 20. Years to pay off. That's $200,000 you can't invest. That's 20 years of lost compounding. For most degrees, the math doesn't work. 2. You learn to work for money instead of making money work for you. College trains you to be an employee, to trade time for money. But wealth comes from equity, not salary. You can't get rich trading time. 3. You delayed compounding by a decade. 8 years lost to college and debt repayment is 8 years of compounding you can never get back. That 8-year delay costs millions at retirement. 4. You were taught that credentials matter more than results. The market pays for value creation, not diplomas. But college graduates spend their careers talking about their credentials instead of delivering results. 5. You were taught to seek approval instead of seeking truth. College trains you to please authority and follow consensus. But wealth comes from independent thinking and contrarian action. These are not complicated lessons, but nobody wants to hear them because everyone has already bought the college myth. It's too painful to admit you made a $200,000 mistake. But I'm 99 years old. I don't have time for comfortable lies. I only have time for uncomfortable truths. Here is your challenge. If you're thinking about college, do the math first. Calculate the full cost: tuition, lost wages, opportunity cost, delayed compounding. Compare that to the expected income increase. Be honest about whether the degree is an investment or consumption. If you're already in college or already graduated with debt, stop treating your degree like it entitles you to anything. The market doesn't care about your credentials. Start focusing on results, value creation, and building equity. If you've been out of college for years and haven't built wealth, stop blaming circumstances. You made decisions. Those decisions have consequences. The good news is you can make different decisions starting today. I'm 99 years old. I've watched thousands of people get college degrees. Most of them are broke. Not because they're stupid, because they made expensive decisions and then spent decades justifying those decisions instead of fixing them. You don't have to be one of them, but you do have to be honest about what college is: an expensive credential that trains you to be an employee, delays your compounding by a decade, and teaches you to seek approval instead of seeking truth. Is that worth $200,000 in 4 years of your life? For some people, in some fields, yes. For most people, in most fields, no. The formula is simple. Start early, build equity, compound long, think independently. That is how you build wealth. You can do that with a degree, but you don't need a degree to do it. And for most people, the degree is an obstacle, not an advantage. Now, if you want more brutal honesty about wealth, timeless principles that actually work instead of conventional wisdom that keeps you broke, subscribe to this channel. We don't promise easy. We don't promise fast. We promise truth. And the truth is that your college degree probably made you broke. What you do about that is your choice.